It's the 1850s. You're polishing your top hat with whale oil when this horse, treadmill, train thingy casually strolls by. Well, consider yourself lucky to witness it, as it only existed for a split second in history. Not one, not two, but three different horse-powered locomotives were actually built and used. 4 horses, up to 60 horsepowers, 15 times more efficient than steam engines. How can these numbers be real? And was it an overlooked stroke of genius, or another case of over-engineering to solve problems that never existed in the first place? Let's find out. Our story starts in 1829 in England, at the legendary Rainhill Trials, a competition organized by the so-called Father of Railways. The goal was simple: to demonstrate that locomotives are a superior mode of transportation. 5 locomotives competed for a prize of £500. Can you spot the odd one out? That's right, the cycloped is the only one that runs on hay instead of coal. Its inventor was a railway director and had all the necessary connections in the industry. Yet the cycloped failed, and miserably so. It was too slow, too weird, and here's the best part: it was eliminated when the horse burst through the engine floor. The rocket took the prize, steam power won the day, and everyone assumed that was the end of horse-powered trains. But plot twist, just 1 year later, horse train version 2.0 shows up in South Carolina and actually wins a $500 competition. The Flying Dutchman could carry 12 passengers at around 12 miles per hour on a 6-mile track. This was the only horse-powered locomotive that people actually paid to ride. For a few months, it seems like horses might have a stable future in the train business. But then reality struck. In the same year still, the railroad company had to choose between hay power, wind power, and steam power, and eventually went all in on steam after seeing their success in England. The first public steam-powered locomotive in the US, the so-called best friend of Charleston, began operating in the same year. But that didn't last long either, since it exploded half a year later. Again, it seemed like horse-powered locomotives were gone for good. But then, 2 decades later, when steam locomotives were still considered suboptimal, the project was revived. The new and improved version 3.0 had some exciting improvements. It was called the Impulsoria, and its Italian inventor took it to London to be tested. And there, its potential was definitely recognized. Let's take a closer look at just how exciting the Impulsoria's improvements were. So you have a locomotive with 2 leading wheels and 2 powered wheels in the back. The Impulsoria worked with 1, 2, or 4 horses. Now you might say, why not just have horses pull the trains? Well, the difference in efficiency is about the same as you walking versus you riding a bike with transmission. And efficiency is where the Impulsoria truly shines. First off, the treadmill is on an incline, which means the horses could leverage their body weight, which increases power output. The gearbox itself meant the train could go fast without the horses having to run. And if one horse was feeling rather weak, it could simply reduce its pushing output while still keeping up the pace of the treadmill. I also love that it could go in reverse. I'd love to know what the horse must think when it's walking forward but moving backward. So how efficient was it? Well, back then it was known that steam locomotives waste a ton of energy. And that's exactly the concern the inventor tapped into when he marketed the Impulsoria. He boasted that it costs 2 shillings of hay to feed a horse, while a steam locomotive costs 6 pounds per day in coal. So in its 4-horse configuration, the cost would be 8 shillings and thus 15 times more efficient than the steam counterpart. But of course, he didn't consider other expenses such as maintenance, water, and the labor of shoveling coal all day. So how fast could it go? During its trials, only the 2-horse configuration was tested and reached speeds of 7 miles per hour while pulling 1 wagon. But they speculated that a final version would reach 15 to 20 miles per hour and could outrun a steam engine. But perhaps there was some wishful thinking sprinkled in. For short distances, it may even go faster than that. The average horse has a peak hour output of almost 15 horsepower. So when using 4 horses, you would almost reach 60 horsepower for short bursts. That's actually more than some modern microcars and some motorcycles. During an 8-hour day, it was estimated that the horses could move the Impulsoria 8 times over a 30-mile route. So what happened? Despite its successful trials, no Impulsorias were ordered. While it was received well in England, the Scientific American rather dismissed the idea by commenting, "Such is the present state of invention in Italy, the land of Galileo. Well, how the mighty are fallen." 1 year later, an Italian philosophy professor improved the design and exhibited it at the Great Exhibition in 1851, where you'd also find our electric bathtub on display. The Impulsoria appeared at another exhibition 2 years later, and then the traces completely vanish. And that's the last we've ever heard of horse-powered locomotives. So why was that the case? Well, in a nutshell, they were steamrolled by improvements in the steam engine. This graph shows how the power output of steam engines kept increasing between 1840 and 1880. The Impulsoria existed right during this time, exactly before the steam engine increased somewhat exponentially. What can we learn from the Impulsoria? I think it's a textbook case of lateral thinking. Instead of replacing horses, it asked, how can we use them better? It used hay, gears, and good old physics. It reminded us that innovation isn't about shiny tech, it's about smart systems thinking. It was a great idea with even better execution, delivered at absolutely the wrong time. So next time your brilliant invention gets ignored, don't take it personally, just blame God for being born in the wrong century.